Hey, before we get started, I'm super excited, obviously, for the Ask Me Anything, but seeing as you've got your bloody glass of wine there,
I do.
I am fucking loving these Magic Mind drinks. Since I swapped onto matcha, it's been such a big change. I actually had a coffee for Mother's Day on the weekend and I looked at it, and you know what I'm like with my coffee? I'm like, oh, that's going to be too strong. That's going to be shit. I drank it and it was delicious. It was so
Really?
good. Yeah. But I got to be honest, these things, these Magic Mind, they are so good. They are absolutely hitting the spot. And I've been busy as this week, which means I don't get time to make my own, which I do every morning. And of course, I put all my stuff in it. But these things are brilliant. So for those listening, you should go check it out. It's called Magic Mind. Mental performance shot. It's like matcha and ginger and so good. Sharpens the mind, lowers the stress, and creates calm energy, which is exactly what I need. So you have your wine and I'll have one of these. Let's get to it.
Perfect. Uppers and downers.
Yeah.
It is really tasty. I've had it, actually, just to say. They're actually really tasty. And I just have to say, you are such a fanatic about, like, or at least you used to be. Like, I know how you were with your coffee. Like, it was every day, sometimes twice a day. Like, you're very specific about it. Like, to actually watch you replace your coffee with something is a huge deal. So you must really like it.
Well, I love it. And I'm now completely converted onto matcha. And this is actually I have this most often, what I would have my second coffee of the day. So I have my matcha that I make in the morning, unless I've been super busy like today, and I'll have this one in the morning. But it really helps with the afternoon slump. So, and it's natural and it's good for me. So
Get on it, people. We'll put a link for it in the show notes.
awesome. Love it. Hey, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. So, once more, we asked what you wanted, and here we are with an Ask Me Anything episode, which we are going to do more often. I think we're going to try and do one every month, maybe every 2 months. So, exciting times. Let me introduce, if you don't know her already, I don't know how you do if you've been listening for a while, but I want to welcome back to the podcast the incredible, the amazing, the COO of my business, Taylor Jyson. Welcome to the potty.
Happy to be back.
I'm super excited.
Hello, everyone. Me too. Pumped.
All right, let's do it. Let's go. What do they want to know?
Yeah. Lots of stuff. First, I just want to say that thank you, everyone, for submitting your questions. And if you want to submit questions for Ask Me Anythings, then just get on our email list, which you can do at the bottom of the homepage of emmadunwoody.com, or just go get your free chart and then you'll be on there anyway. And you'll get notified when we do these and you'll be able to submit questions. So,
yeah, cool. And let's say you have your chart already, so maybe that's not so super exciting. What about where people could get their Human Design Unhinged chart? Because that is freaking hilarious.
I am obsessed with Human Design Unhinged. It's humandesignunhinged.com. And when you go there, there's a big orange button that says get your chart. And it's very different from, if you have the one from emmadunwoody.com, it's very different. And it is hilarious.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the report that you get afterwards it's just hysterical. The messages that we've gotten from people, it's daily, it's nonstop, and it makes my day.
Yeah,
because it's so funny and relatable and grounded. And I think the humor really gives people permission to relate to it more or something. Yeah. It's really cool.
Well, it's that whole thing, isn't it? You know, like things integrate more when we take things lightly. When we have fun, we learn more. When we take things lightly, they integrate easier. So yeah, I think it's super fun. So if you don't have your Unhinged chart yet, please go get it, because it will give you a good laugh, if nothing else. But really, yeah, the overarching feedback has been that it's like people get it through the frame of Unhinged.
Yeah, and we're having so much fun doing it as well.
Yeah, so cool.
Okay, let's get into the juicy questions. Actually, the first one I want to start with, because we got it. It's a question we had 3 times on Instagram, and it's just one version of the same question, really. And 3 people asked, where do I look in my chart for money and my money frequency?
Okay, so great question. And this is interesting as well. I love that lots of people are asking, because At the moment, I am in full creator mode, and I have these 5 pillars that I'm going to be teaching. I'm actually just about to launch the first pillar, which is all around the PHS system. The 4 transformations, the 4 arrows. That's going to go live really soon inside HDX. My mastermind crew are just about to see the first one of those, which is just so cool. Anyway, one of the other pillars is money and finance and wealth, because I think this is definitely something that I have had such a long relationship with, and it's been a long journey to really get money and to understand how money can be easy. And I'm definitely at this place right now, and I've talked about this on my secret podcast, where I am like pushing up against the next level. So it's very, very relevant. Money is very relevant to me now because I'm going to the next level. And what's really important to understand, and you guys have probably heard this before, but I'm going to say it again, is that the version of you that got you here is not the version of you that's going to get you there. So that's where I'm at with money right now. Like, money's easy. I've created this business, it's taking care of it, it's taking care of my family, it's taking care of my life. When I literally checked out of the business for a good 4 months last year, dealing with stuff, my business was there to support me. So money has now become something that I'm like, okay, this is really cool, but now I want to go into super overflow. So where do I look in my chart? Well, the first thing is you want to start with type. Okay, because first of all, you want to understand how your energy is consistently designed to show up. So if you're a manifester, you're going to make money in spurts. So if you're judging yourself for not having a consistent income flow, it could just be because your creative energy is on. That's when you're going to be the most magnetic around money. It's not to say that you can't then build structures and strategies, which I'd always recommend with the non-sacral beings, that, fill in the gaps, that when the creative flow isn't there for a manifestor, that there's something, an ongoing product that you could be selling that you don't have to show up for. So you can fill in the blocks, but the first thing you want to do is understand your energy. So if you're a generator or a manifesting generator, you have a consistent ability to attract money all the time. Again, you still need things that are going to consistently, passively earn income for you, okay? Projectors, same deal. You're not going to have energy all the time to go out to do the doing. So you need to be really focused on, okay, well, when my energy is there, this is the time that I'm going to feel the most magnetic. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not magnetic the rest of the time. It's the same for reflectors. So reflectors, you're going to feel super magnetic depending on the people and the places that you're around. So what you want to do is, your first place to go when it comes to money is you've got to manage that energy. Manage that energy. If you're an emotional authority, I teach this inside HDX, you might have a relationship with money, and this was my experience. And to be honest, it's still my experience now, not as dramatic as it used to be, but it's still my experience now, is that if I'm riding the emotional low, then I don't feel as abundant, and then I don't attract as much money. Now, the point is not to change ourselves, but to accept where we're at and then build things that support our ongoing magnetism. So one of the big shifts that I'm really working on at the moment is working from this doing to being. Okay. I mean, I've built a lot of my business, especially more recently, from a place of being. So if we can actually be magnetic and feel abundant all the time, then this is a really powerful way that we're going to create greater consistency and increase our overall money. Now, there are so many places in the chart that you can actually look for money, but I'm going to take you to one of my favorites. The first place I'm going to look at in the chart is actually, and this is a Gene Keys thing, is you want to have a look at your personality Jupiter and the line number of the personality Jupiter. Because in my opinion, this is not what Richard Rudd says. So please don't, please don't think that this is a Gene Keys teaching. It's through my experimentation and, yes, my interpretation of his wording, that line number is your frequency. So when you know what that particular line number feels like, so if I have a line 3 there, and the line 3 is celebration. So I know for sure that if I feel like I'm celebrating with my money, like I'm taking care of my family, or I'm taking my friends somewhere, or I'm free to spend money to celebrate, I don't know, my team or whatever it is, then more money comes to me. Okay. So it's really about adventure. It's about all of these things. So I learned not to put myself into boxes, into structures, into a lot of budgeting, because actually that minimizes my frequency. And I'm going to give another example of your line number, T, because you've got the line 1, which is all about simplicity. So T's frequency is about what are the things that are important to me. So she attracts money to take care of the things that are important to her. It's not that she won't have a lot of money, because actually it's my experience that a lot of line 1s actually tend to have a lot of money that they then invest elsewhere, because they don't need a lot of money day to day. They don't. It's not the way that they interact with money. They just take care of the things that are important to them, and usually they are. Again, the line 1s, in my experience, they'll buy the more expensive product, but it'll last them 15 years. They go for quality over quantity, and it's just about, well, this is really important to me, so I'm going to invest in this thing. And when they're taking care of that, then they're very magnetic. So and I'm pretty sure I've done a podcast on all the line numbers. If I haven't, I know I've got it in HDX for the HDX learners, members. But yeah, this is probably the best place to start.
Yeah, I love that. I actually loved learning that I was a line 1 in my money frequency, or my pearl is in the gene keys. It just, it made so much sense. And like you said, and I also think, just real quick, ever since then, all of the other line 1s in that area that I know, even both my dad and my brother, Elizabeth, Ralph, these are all people that, even so, all 3 of them are actually in finance. It doesn't mean that that is a thing, but I think the thing is, for us, it's there's such a there is a line 1ness to it as well. Yes, it's simplicity, but there is also a detail to it.
Yeah,
it's a simplicity of the details. I just know, it's simple. You just invest this, you do this, you put it here, you save this over here, and you buy this, and that's all you need. You don't need, and it's not complicated.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I really think that if you did a poll or a study of some sort, you would find that so many line 1s are in some sort of money something in their work.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Yeah. I agree. I love it. Awesome.
Okay. Next question. We're completely changing gears. How do you feel about the sidereal chart?
Oh, I love this question because you're just asking me how I feel about it. So how do I feel about it? I remember when I first discovered it and everyone was going all crazy about it. They're all being all in their polarity about it. You either loved it or hated it. Technically when I started researching about it, I'm like, well, it makes more sense. If it's a real-time reading, that technically makes more sense than this other reading that's taking a reading from, this time in the past. However, my sidereal chart, I am a 1-3 reflector, cross of the Sphinx. And I have a obsession with understanding reflectors. So that makes sense. I've got very few line 1s in my chart, yet I operate a lot as a line 1, especially in my early days of my business. So that feels like it really resonates. I'm a 3-5 now, so the line 3 comes as no surprise. And look, I'm kind of obsessed with the 2 incarnation crosses that happen in the G center. One of them is the Sphinx. So I definitely think that there's a resonance, there's something in there, an echo, an echo that might be present. But the truth for me is that there's no way I'm a reflector over an emotional manifesting generator. That's just not a thing. And anyone who knows me just knows that that's just not a thing. I'm definitely an emotional being. And I'm definitely a manifesting generator. So I don't know. I do think there's other kind of similarities that can be maybe correlated. So I know for me, even though I'm a manifesting generator, energy is a big thing for me. So when I'm on, I'm on. Put me on a stage, I could talk for hours. I can run classes for hours. I can do a lot of things for hours, but they really drain me. So even at the HD conference that we just had, I was exhausted, like exhausted. So I can really imagine how the reflectors feel. But yeah, for me personally, because I'm a line 3, I run the experiment. I have a look at the structures, line 5. I try and work out, what feels most correct. And honestly, for me, the sidereal chart just feels like it's a bit of an echo.
Yeah. I actually never paid much attention to mine because I'm a 5-1 manifesting generator. And even in my sidereal, I'm a 5-1 generator. So I was like, well, clearly my energy is just my energy.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, like that's why I think about my energy. And I definitely am not the classic MG when it comes to, like, I do not have consistent energy. But I don't think it's because I'm really a reflector. I think it's just because I'm an emotional, the 40s in my evolution or my design earth. Like this, there's so much of this balance and harmony in my design.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's pick a new exciting one. I feel like you're going to like this one because it's something you and I have been talking about recently. And you mentioned it at the beginning of the episode. Fiona asked, once we have the basics of human design and we want to incorporate the variables, aka 4 arrows, to assist with where we live and what we digest and when, what's the best way to get an understanding of them to begin practically experimenting with them in our day-to-day life?
Okay, this is such a cool question because, I'm just about to teach all of this in HDX. Again, like I did it a number of years ago, and then I deep dived because I feel like there's so many people out there teaching the variables. And if I'm really honest, in my opinion, and as a line 3, here to call out what does and doesn't work, I think in many cases people are drawing a really long bow with the associations that they've given to a lot of the arrows and what's actually called the colors and tones. They've left out tone altogether, and it's kind of it's a bit ridiculous because the truth is that you've got the color is how the body or the mind deals with something, and the tone is how it takes in the information to deal with something. So they go intrinsically together, yet people don't teach them. The other thing that's really important to understand is that they were created. They're not part of the original download. So there's something that Ra created afterwards. So the reason why I say that is, for me, I think that all the arrows require greater, more vigorous experimentation because they use certain words like, in digestion, for example, I'm a touch calm. So that means that I digest best in a calm and still environment. And no surprise, I'm obsessed with tea ceremony because what's that all about? It's fucking quiet. Like the girl sitting next to me today, she was just making noises, and she was like, and I was like, shh, shh. And like later on, I'm like, whoa, okay, I'm going to go back to the mirrors. What was I triggered about? Oh, is that what I judge in others? Like I went through a whole thing because, hello, that's who I am. But the point is like that's how I digest life, right? But these are metaphors. So it's really important to understand that let's say you get into, one that people have a lot of trouble with is light. Do you eat when the sun's up or the sun's down? And it's one that so many people have so much trouble with. And I think it's hilarious because it's your PHST, yet it's never been difficult for you. You're just like, I just experimented.
I resonate with it so much because I'm direct light, which is like, if you want to use the metaphor, I digest life best when the sun is up. And if you know me, I am the poster child for not a morning person. Like if I don't set an alarm, which I don't anymore since learning this, like that's what it empowered me to do. I wake up naturally when the sun comes up. If I wake up for something before the sun's out, I am nonverbal. I'm not functioning. Like you will stay as far away from me as possible. Like I'm not talking to you. When we walked the Camino, it was a big thing, and then by the time the sun goes down, I'm just like, I just quite happily sit and watch TV. And I actually don't feel that pressure to do like I normally do. Like sitting down is really hard for me when I feel like I'm not being quote unquote productive, which is also just kind of like a pattern I need to heal. But in the same breath, it's like I feel so much more relaxed when the sun's down because I'm like, I'm tired now. My brain's off. I'm really sweet just watching TV.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's like if you want to start to integrate the arrows, then first you got to understand the arrows. And for me personally, you got to understand them at the core. You can't just like, I don't know, it's not as powerful if you're just hearing these watered down versions of it. And it's kind of like, well, this is what you like to eat. No, it's not just about food. The PHS, top left hand arrow, this is how you digest. So it's how you digest life, energy, food, all sorts of things. Your color is going to tell you how your brain and body synthesizes, like how does it actually digest these things. And then your tone is going to tell you how specifically something is correct for you or not. So I have outer vision. So I'm a very visual person, yet I have an undefined head and ajna. I always get stuck if I'm trying to create mental clarity, but I'm trying to create mental clarity so I can digest it. So I create clarity outside of my brain. This is how I digest. This is how I know what's correct for me. Oh, that looks correct for me. That is the thing that I'm going to, focus on and digest. So that's up until your Saturn return. Okay. This is when it's the most influential. Then you move down into your environment. Now, your environment, again, is a metaphor. The 1, 2s, and 3s, they are like physical things to either, specific ways of eating or specific environments, like 3D things. Whereas the 4, the 5, the 6, this is all about atmosphere. It's all about, more of a frequency type thing as opposed to an actual 3D. I can pick this up. I can do this in a particular way. Anyway, I got to keep going. Then environment. After your Saturn return, you drop into environment. That's the next place. Now, again, this is a metaphor. I'm a valleys person. So is T. This is how, my body is going to thrive in a valleys environment. So what does that mean? It means it's where I'm in a situation where I can experience a lot of communication, but it's not too busy and it's not too calm. Like there's access to everything that's going on, but I also have this ability just to sit back and experience things from afar. So that's how my body feels. It doesn't mean I actually have to live in a valley. It means this is the energy of how my body feels the most safe, secure, and also this is all about health and well-being and longevity. Then from the environment, we move across to the bottom right, which is perspective. This is how you see the world. So this is a journey that we go on between our Saturn return and our Uranus opposition. We're kind of focused on Saturn returns at 28, Uranus opposition is early 40s. So we're in this journey of really learning our best environment and learning how we see the world best. Again, color is how we actually take in the information. And then our tone is how we know what information is correct for us to take in. It's our sense of how we take that information in. And then in our Chiron return, we go to our motivation, which is the top right-hand arrow. Now, this is actually about our outer authority, like what intrinsically motivates us mentally, our personality, what intrinsically motivates our personality. So this is, again, it's like, this is the thing that's going to motivate me. This is the thing that's going to drive me. For example, I have desire. So this is all about my desires. Again, which is crazy because so much of my life has been about other people, serving other people, taking care of other people, leading other people. Whereas I'm a personal profile in my motivation, it's all about my desires. So what I desire, for example, me even going down this rabbit hole again with the arrows was because I wanted to learn them at a deeper level. That desire motivates me, and then I want to share it with everybody else. So this is kind of the journey, and it's so much more intricate. It's so cool once you get the language really right. But yeah, and how do you experiment with it? Pick one arrow at a time, maybe the one that speaks to you the most intuitively, maybe where you're at in your life. That's the best place to go first. Maybe you just want to start with PHS. If you're like me, you want to start at the beginning and follow the process. Again, just pick one and start experimenting with it.
I love it. I'm so excited for you to teach this, and each day, like, I'll be on there like every single time. I'm here for it. Okay, so we're taking a turn from human design to more behavioral, mixing it up for you. This was an anonymous question. If immediate family members are being disrespectful and I've said no to getting together to discuss a situation at hand, what action or inaction do I take? As an MG, I've had the energy to do a lot for these people. However, there's very little appreciation or respect, so I've stopped helping out and I'm having minimal communication with them. Thank you in advance for your reply.
I feel like this is such a hot topic right now. And at the end of the day, you're the only person that knows the correct thing to do. However, I can help you understand how you know what the best decision for you is. I think, and this is just my opinion, I feel that we're in a time, and keeping in mind that part of the background frequency, we're still just exiting the cross of planning. Okay. And in the new paradigm in 2027, we move into the sleeping phoenix. So we're just finishing up this energy that's very tribal. It's very family based. It's very man, woman, have baby, then look after your elders. It's like this whole thing that we've been living out for the last 800 years. Now, I think that's falling apart. I know that's falling apart. That there's this new, like, family is actually open for redefinition. And it's going to get even more so because we're moving out of, the 40-37 is very much about man, woman, tribal construct, bargains, agreements. And we're moving into a very individual time, which is going to be about when I fill my cup up first, then I overflow and I have all the resources I need. When I am self-empowered, then I am powerful. So actually at the moment, family is up in the air for redefining. And that's happened in my own life. I always had this idea, and I do have the 40-37. So I've always had this idea that, I'd get married and I'd, get married into a family and I'd have this lovely family that I'd create with my partner, with my husband. And then there'd be this really close, family on my side and his side. And honestly, that never really eventuated. Like, my in-laws are lovely people, don't get me wrong, but we were never overly close. And even the family that my ex and I did create, again, it was never what my 40-37 really wanted, that deep connection, like ride or die. We've come this far, like we can do everything. And it's probably a good thing. Let's be fucking honest. Let's be honest that it's good that it didn't work out the way that my ego wanted it to work out. So the point I'm trying to make is that at this time, and what I've learned is now I've created the family that I've always dreamed of. I've got all these people in my life, but they're more friends. They're all friends at the moment. I haven't, as yet, I haven't met my king, my new human that I'm calling in. But it's actually what I've really discovered is that my children feel more supported with this new version of family than perhaps they felt before. Because it's like they've got all of these, and like, honestly, I've got teenagers, they need mentors and role models and safety outside of mum and dad anyway, which would usually be the role of aunts and uncles and that sort of thing. But so they're predominantly aunts have created the safety, but it doesn't look like this formal family. So directly answering your question, what I would say to you is, at the end of the day, you know what's correct for you. How do you know? You follow your strategy and authority. The thing I would say is we don't have to maintain an old model. We don't have to maintain a family because we are blood related, especially if we've had experiences where the family we do have, perhaps there's been some extensive trauma. I think that's something for me that's been really challenging. Is it's like I've always had this, Pollyanna, rose-colored glasses, very Piscean view of family. But the truth is, like, there was a lot of trauma in my family. And at the end of the day, we actually at some point are going to have to put boundaries in place around that trauma, because either we ignore the trauma and allow ourselves to keep getting triggered, and every day, every time we get triggered, we improve it a little bit more, or we heal something else and it gets better, or we just say, hey, fuck, that's actually not correct for me, so I'm going to put a boundary in place. Now, again, this is just my experience, so it's not, I'm not saying like you must do this, but it's also something I see so often with clients is they're trying so hard to be the good daughter or the good son or the good whatever, brother, sister, but at the end of the day, what would be the good thing for them would actually be to put a boundary in place. So if we choose to put boundaries in place, then we also need to be adults about it. We need to communicate those boundaries clearly, the purpose for those boundaries. We have to say, I feel, this is on me, this is my choice. We don't point our finger at people in the family. You treat me like this, or you do this, or you do that. It's just, and at some point we have to choose to step away and go, oh, well, you're going to think what you think. You're either going to hear what I'm saying or you're just going to make up your own interpretation. But that's the thing that you need to be okay with. The things that you can influence, not the things, not other people's opinions, and sometimes, especially if you're dealing with narcissism, I think this is also, and you didn't say that, but just because this is in my experience, I think it's important that I just share it. And if you have narcissism somewhere and you're dealing with that in your family, then that's a complete like hard line boundary. Like, don't try to explain yourself. Don't try to communicate. Don't try anything. Just be like, I'm out, and go do research on it, because it's a very specific way to deal with a narcissist. So you have to honor you. You have to honor your strategy, your authority. You've got to honor what's correct for you, especially if you're doing a lot. Did you say what profile?
Mm-mm.
No. Especially let's say you're a line 5, so you're going out of your way to help this family, and they're just like, whatever, and they just expect you to always be there to pick up the pieces. No, you don't have to be on call to that family. That's not how it works. Like, we are all equal and we all deserve love. We all deserve, we all give love, we all receive love. We all give support, we all receive support. So if that's out of balance, says the 37 over here, that's not cool either. So I would say trust your strategy and authority.
Yeah. Actually, this is, well, not funny, but, real time in response here. I was actually going to ask you a different question next. And because of that question, you gave me something to respond to. And I'm like, oh, there's another question that I feel like this goes perfectly into. And I think that the answer to this is really important for everyone to hear. So this person asked, when dealing with narcissism, is there anything in my chart that will help me understand what I need to heal? And yeah, I mean, like initially, like I have thoughts about that. I just would really love to hear your answer, because I'm like, I feel like this is really important.
Yeah. So this is such a great question as well, because ultimately with anything, we have to heal what's in us so that we change the puzzle piece that we have, that we take out into the world. So specifically for your design, I'd have to look at your design. I'd have to actually look at your chart. I mean, I know for me personally, I've got the 19, which is the shadow of codependency. But I was also modeled, narcissism by my mother. So again, I learnt that love looked like that. So I think the biggest thing to understand about if you are in a relationship or you've been in a relationship with a narcissist is that the thing that you need to heal is your own self-worth, your own lovability. One of the big things for me personally is I have an open G center. So I don't think I would have ever languaged it as I don't feel lovable. But when I actually sat with it, I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, I don't feel lovable. I feel like I have to do things for others. When I do something for you, then I deserve to receive love. But so my lovability for the sake of being lovable, that definitely wasn't there. So have a look at the centers that you have wide open. The G center and the will center is self-worth. So these are the two places that they might show up in your chart. But at the end of the day, you need to learn to be the love, be the validation, be the empowered one in the relationship for you. It's your job to learn to love, trust, and accept yourself. Now you're going to see that you will experience narcissism outside of one relation, like your intimate relationship. You'll probably see it go on elsewhere. So as you start to heal it in you, you're going to see that a lot of relationships change. And what's that going to look like? Because again, the external clues, the mirrors, it's so much easier to see what's going on out there than see what's going on in here. So when you love yourself, and a big part of loving yourself is boundaries. I know it sounds overly simplistic, but it's just saying no. Especially healing from narcissism. Don't defend, don't respond, don't explain yourself, nothing. You just politely say what you need to say and you walk away. So what that is it's boundaries. It's like, don't try to be heard. Hear yourself. Don't try to prove your worth. Choose your worth. Don't try to get validation from them. Validate yourself. So it's this whole journey of, and you know what? The truth is that so many people who are in relationships with narcissists, and I say so many, it could be all, but I don't know, are empaths. Like, that's the problem. The challenge is that you feel everything and you care about people and you want to help people and you want to nurture people and you want to be the champion for people and you have this so much empathy, so much love for other people. Herein lies the problem, because the narcissist, that's exactly what they want to take, because they need to feel important and you're giving them everything that they need. But at the end of the day, that's where the boundary has to be. Like, you yourself as an empath, like, you don't want to change that. That's a fucking gift. It's a gift that you get to give to the world. You got to just choose to give it to the people that deserve to receive it, as opposed to changing yourself. I think that was a really big part for me, is I don't want to be different. Like, I want to love hard. I always have, always want to. But now I understand that it's all about, does this person deserve what I'm giving? And I think that's probably the biggest place you want to play, is really have really strong boundaries around giving your magic to people.
Yep. Absolute mic drop, my friend. Very well said. I am going to close it out with a question that I think will excite you. This sounds like a question Emma would love to answer. I'm actually curious what you would say about this. This is from Mel. She said, from a human design perspective, where does your soul live in your chart?
Ooh, I love this question. So I'm going to go like old school, original knowledge road, and I might deviate, but that's where I'm going to start. So if we think about it from the original knowledge perspective, the soul literally lives on the design side, okay? Because the design side of your chart is what's called the vehicle. So you are born into this vehicle, okay? And this vehicle has a road in which it's going to drive. And the road that it's driving, it's all detailed there in the design side of your chart, the left-hand side of your chart. And it's the thing, it's like the higher self, it's the body, it's the biofeedback, it's this higher self kind of energy playing out, right? Soul. And I know that a lot of the bigger teachers that have been teaching for a while, they'll talk about that as the soul as well. Then on the right-hand side, we've got the personality. So the personality is the passenger consciousness. So it's sitting in the passenger seat of the vehicle. So it's just like, it's gone long. I'm just having an experience and I'm just trying to work out who the fuck I am. Like, hey, wee, but it doesn't actually have much control, okay? If you ask me, I do feel like that it's bigger than that. I would say that the soul specifically, or the higher self, it sits above both. And it's kind of like, it probably, I don't know, this is such a cool question, probably speaks specifically through the design side of your chart and guides you through that side of the chart. And then the personality is how you respond to that and how you respond to the world. So I think that's probably the best answer I can give right now. But I'd love to have this conversation, like go deeper.
Yeah. I also, and I could have made this up. This could be like one of those things that's made up in human design that I heard somewhere. I could have just made this up completely in my head. But the first thing that I thought was the G center. Am I making that up?
So that is all about the magnetic monopole. So
okay.
what sits in the G center, and this has got a lot to going back to the 4 arrows, this has got a lot to do with the 4 arrows as well. The magnetic monopole sits in gate 1. And whether you've defined there or not doesn't matter. And what sits there in the G center is your one-way magnet, if you like. So it's like gravity. It attracts and it sits there in the monopole. And when we are aligned through our arrows, specifically our PHS, then the communication between our PHS actually clears the communication with our magnetic monopole. Our magnetic monopole talks to our authority. Our authority talks to our magnetic monopole, and everything comes to us. So, yeah, that's more our magnetism. But I mean, look, it could also be, I mean, for those people that have a defined G center, again, the panels in HDX really talk to this. Like those people that have a defined G center, we always talk about the spleen being the house of intuition, which it is. But in my experience, a lot of people who have defined G centers actually have a really consistent relationship with God, universe, source. And those that don't feel like it kind of comes in and out. So that's my experience as well. So I think that there's definitely a part of that it's almost maybe there's a lot of communication going on through there.
Yeah. I also think it could be one of those things too, where like it's tempting with a question like that to want to pick the chart apart when like you could do that and find different areas. But the reality is it's like how the whole design, how it comes together, like that is your soul. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
It's all of it.
I really do think that it's what what I call that original frequency. It's not the parts. Like what is that saying? The parts are greater than the whole is greater than its parts or whatever. Where really when we pick the chart apart, this is how we learn it. But really it's not about the individual parts of our chart. It's about how it all expresses together. That really matters. And that's the expression of our original frequency, our authentic frequency, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Well, that was all we have time for today, plus a bonus question at the end from me. Thank you.
Love it. Awesome. Well, that was super fun. I could fucking do this all day, I tell you. I love it so much. Thank you so much for being here, T. It's been great to have you here.
Anytime. I love asking you questions and watching you light up and just go on your epic Emma rants.
Yeah, rant. And thank you so much for listening. I trust that you got what you needed from today's episode. And I so look forward to having you on the next one. Bye for now.
Bye.